What's going on, everybody? It's the Sports Report guy, and I want to talk about what I think the Cleveland Browns need to do heading into the draft, including some free agent pickups we should be considering at least, and what I believe our approach to the draft should be. A lot of people think Cleveland is locked in at taking a tackle with their pick at number 10, but I'm not so sure that's what we want to do. Before we get any further, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get more content like this. It'd help me out tremendously. Please make sure to do that. So before I get into some of the names I want to be looking at this offseason, looking forward, this video was made April 8th. So kind of where we sit. The first thing I want to do before we get into any names or anything like that, let's take a look at the situation. All right. So I'm going to look at the Browns standing as an organization from kind of Andrew Berry's seat, the general manager's perspective. According to Over the Cap, the Cleveland Browns have the most cap space as we sit here today, even after the signing of Conklin and Hooper and all those guys on one-year deals and everything. After all of that, according to Over the Cap, the Browns have $43,028,974. Now, obviously, that's not maybe spot on, but you get the idea. It's a lot of money. OverTheCap.com also says that the Cleveland Browns have the most cap space out of any team in the NFL. So it just gives you a little idea about their cap situation. They're sitting in a pretty good spot nonetheless. Regardless if they're first or if they're fifth or 10th, but they've got money. Okay. So you got some money to work with as we sit here today. You have Baker Mayfield on a rookie contract. He's not taking up an insurmountable slice of the salary cap pie. You have Myles Garrett. He's doing the same thing. You have Myles Garrett for this season and for next. Baker Mayfield you have for this season and you have for the next two. Take a look at the draft capital you have. We've got the number 10 overall pick in the draft coming up here. We've got the 41 pick, the 74, and the 97 as well. We've got 7 overall picks, but we've got 4 picks inside the top 100. Pretty good situation with the draft capital, as it always is for the Browns, it seems like. Taking a look at the offense, the running back room is tremendous. You have 2 all-pro caliber running backs, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. Both of them are elite, okay? Really like what I saw out of those 2 last year, obviously together even. They both had a really good year. Kareem was coming in. He was finding where he fit in the offense. And I think with Stefanski and what he does, I think that's really going to match up well with having both of those running backs, along with Andy Janovich as well. But you have a really good situation, probably the best situation in the NFL in your running backs room. You have a living, breathing definition of heart and soul at wide receiver with Jarvis and Odell. You could definitely find some depth, don't get me wrong, but you have 2 studs for Kevin Stefanski's system, just like Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen were over in Minnesota. You already went out, you signed a very, we'll call him savvy, solid, proven playmaking tight end to pair with all-pro talent in David Njoku. Remember, we kind of might lose here in the shuffle. David Njoku's still a super young player. He came in super raw, just very talented and everything. He still has a ton of upside. He's shown a lot of flashes last year. I don't know what happened. Obviously, Freddie Kitchens they weren't on the same page. He lost. David Njoku lost a lot of favor with the coaching staff for whatever reason. It's going to be nice to pair Hooper and Njoku. That's a really good tight end room. Now we're going to move over to left tackle. All right. There's no doubt. Zero doubt you need a left tackle. All right. Chris Hubbard's not going to be the left tackle. All right. And if anybody thinks that he could be the answer. He already renegotiated with the team this offseason, so he's going to stay with the team. The Browns like what he brings, but not as a starter. But they see him maybe as a backup, somebody that can potentially slide over, move into that right guard position even. He's got some position versatility, leadership. So the Browns really like what they have in Hubbard, but he's just not a starter. So they restructured his contract. Hubbard's going to stay. We know that. But he's not the answer at left tackle. So no doubt we need a left tackle. On the interior line, we've got a really good situation, I would say. Perennial Pro Bowl caliber players in Joel Petonio and J.C. Tretter. We don't really know what these coaches or how Andrew Berry, how they view Wyatt Teller, but we do know that Wyatt Teller gained valuable playing time last season for the Browns. And right now, if the season were to start today, he's your starting right guard. So we don't really know what we have with him. He's shown glimpses. He's done okay at times, but he just hasn't. He hasn't done it enough. Right tackle, obviously the big signing of Jack Conklin this offseason. He's a stud right tackle who's big, athletic, and he's perfect for the zone blocking scheme. He's proven, and he's proven to be elite. Big Ten guy. He chose to come to Cleveland. You gotta love that. Conklin helped Derrick Henry last year get the rushing title, and Conklin has already said this offseason, which is just great to hear, that his goal is for Nick Chubb to get the rushing title this year. So, love what I'm hearing from Jack Conklin. Overall, that offensive line, big addition with Conklin, really helps things out, really kind of lets you take a deep breath. Now we really got to focus on left tackle, kind of see what's going on at right guard, but we're sitting in a lot better spot now. On the other side of the ball, you have Myles Garrett, obviously an elite, all-pro, generational talent leading your pass rush. You kick inside. Sheldon Richardson's a tough, hard-nosed vet. You have Larry Ogunjobi, still developing as a player, but he's been making plays the past few years. He's battled some injuries, but he's been tough. He's trying to play through them. I really love what I'm seeing out of Ogunjobi, and he adds some much-needed interior pass rush. I think he's had 5 sacks the last 2 seasons, so he's making plays from the inside. I like him. You can definitely use some depth on the defensive interior, but we've got two good players in there. All right. You have Olivier Vernon on the other edge, opposite of Myles Garrett. In my opinion, Olivier Vernon kind of underwhelmed for me last season for what you're paying him and everything, and what the production he gave you. He made some plays, but I will also say, and the key note here, he also did not make a lot of plays, and that's kind of how I would describe Olivier Vernon. At linebacker, you got Mack Wilson. He's a draft steal from last year, 5th-round pick, first-round talent, first-round type talent, He fell to the Browns, and the Browns cashed in. It was a great pick by John Dorsey. Mack really appeared to be a natural playmaker. He always seemed to be around the football, and that's something I really love from my linebackers. So, Mack Wilson, I love this. I love what we got going on there. But he's a second-year player. You have another still somewhat raw Sione Takitaki seemingly getting the minutes Schobert took with him to Jacksonville. Takitaki got some playing time with the defense at the tail end of the season, but who knows? Maybe we have something with Takitaki, but we just really don't know. Similarly to Wyatt Teller on the offensive side, Sione Takitaki, he seems like he plays with his hair on fire. He's fast. He's pretty big. All those things. You like a lot of the things, but we just haven't seen it. At safety, I love what they did with safety. You brought in my opinion, 2 starting caliber safeties in Andrew Sendejo and Carl Joseph. Maybe not. In the case of Carl Joseph, maybe, I guess. But maybe they're not your safeties of the future, but they can be your safeties for the now, and that's okay. That's just fine. Denzel Ward, he's already been to 1 Pro Bowl in his 2 seasons, and Greedy Williams played some valuable minutes. He started right away with the Browns. And he seemed to make a smooth transition to the NFL. You got Terrence Money Mitchell, who I thought looked great 2 years ago. He kind of reminded me of a poor man's Peanut Tillman over there from Chicago. Just kind of punching out the ball, being feisty. Just a little bulldog out there on the edges in the secondary. I really liked what I saw from him. For whatever reason, he got lost in the shuffle last season. So I hope that Money Mitchell gets on the field a little bit more this year. I think that would help our defense. I think him being on the field helps our defense. He's a playmaker, and we need playmakers. I nearly forgot to talk about fullback we traded for, Andy Janovich. It was a must for Stefanski to bring in a fullback that he really liked. According to Pro Football Focus, Andy Janovich had the 3rd best offensive grade among fullbacks in 2019, and he was the 2nd best run blocker in the league for fullback at his position behind Kyle Juszczyk. So, really good trade there. So we kind of looked at the entire situation, the roster. Now I want to go back, and to me, what does that mean? To me, that means you need 4 pieces. The 4 pieces that you need to get a left tackle. No doubt. You need to replace Olivier Vernon. Get yourself another edge. You need to find a playmaker in the secondary, and you need a veteran leader at linebacker. If we make those 4 moves that we sit here today, like I said, April 8th, if we, before that first game we play, if we make these 4 moves, I think we're going to be in a really good spot. And when I say really good spot, what I mean, we're trying to win the Super Bowl. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. You got the quarterback. You got the edge rusher. You got talent at running back. You got talent at wide receiver. You brought in a new head coach. He's got the scheme. You're hoping that works out. Yet to be determined. We'll see. Offensive line, you've upgraded a little bit. Defense is lacking, okay? So overall, but you need 4 pieces, and that's kind of what I outlined there. Left tackle, Olivier Vernon, replace him. Playmaker in the secondary, veteran leader at linebacker. You are sitting, as the Cleveland Browns, in the best position out of all the other 31 franchises. You are in the best position right now to make more moves. My hope is that Andrew Berry continues to be aggressive. That's the key. He's been aggressive. I love what Andrew Berry has done so far. Every move makes sense. Andrew Billings, Jack Conklin, Carl Joseph, all these guys, bringing in Juszczyk. Even B.J. Goodson, I like that. It's a good. He's played. He's a bigger guy. He's not a stud, but hey, you need to add some bodies. He's played in the league. So these are some of the moves that I think we need to do. Number 1, let's sign Jadeveon Clowney. I think this is a real, legitimate option. This is not a fantasy option. This is not a Madden. Let's trade for Jadeveon Clowney. Let's sign him. Let's make an all-star stack team. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this makes sense. We need to do this. This should happen. I mentioned earlier that Myles Garrett is an elite, all-pro, generational talent. You can copy and paste those words for Clowney. Because just like Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney was the number 1 overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft that included Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. That's the kind of player and that's the kind of talent that Jadeveon Clowney gives you. Something we're missing. It's nice to have Myles Garrett, but it never hurts to have another pass rusher. Not a problem. Not an issue to sign Jadeveon Clowney. He's extremely disruptive. That's the word that I'd really like to describe using Clowney. He's disruptive, and that's what you want from your D-line. You want him to be disruptive. You want him to mess up the timing. You want him to, you leave that player unblocked, and he makes a play that all the other players can't make. That's the type of talent that Jadeveon Clowney gives you. Great against the run. He's one of the best defenders at his position against the run in the NFL. He adds a lot of stress chasing around quarterbacks, adding pressure, that sort of thing. He does that. He'll get you some sacks too. Not a great sack number last year with 3 sacks, but he chases the quarterback around. Always gets good PFF grades. And he would also be the second featured, the second best, I should say, pass rusher, obviously behind Myles Garrett. And that's a role that he thrived in when he was in Texas, when he was over in Houston with the Texans, opposite of J.J. Watt. If you remember, Clowney made 3 Pro Bowls in his first 5 years with the Texans, and he was opposite Watt. So I think it's just a great all-around fit. If you get Clowney, the reason you do that is because you cut Olivier Vernon. Cutting Olivier Vernon, to me, it's an obvious move. It saves you $15.5 million in cap space. There's no cap penalty. You pay Clowney what he asked for, which is about $20 million a year. Give him a 1 to 2 year deal, and automatically you upgrade the position tremendously for $5 to $10 million per year more. Move makes a lot of sense. I think it's a must. I think it's something the Browns at least sounds like they're trying to. Who knows? But it definitely seems like a move worth looking into. Another move I could see the Browns front office making to solidify the defensive end position is by cutting Olivier Vernon and signing another guy, potentially Everson Griffin. Marcus Golden would be another one. I could really see Marcus Golden being a piece. Marcus Golden, 29-year-old, he's coming off a 10-sack season, but he's going to be a little bit less money. He's not going to get that. He's not going to be a high-dollar free agency signing. He's not going to have the cap space, the cap hit like Olivier Vernon. But I think he'd be an upgrade. I think he's a better player right now than Olivier Vernon. Or similar even, but you're saving some money. So maybe not a bad move there. And that's something that I could see the front office, with D. Podesta and Andrew Berry, some of those smart guys, crunching the numbers, things like that. I think that move makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. However, the Clowney move is one that I want to see. If you go the draft route, Caleb Von Chasen from LSU, you got Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State. He was really disruptive against Ohio State. I remember that game. He's a freak athlete. A lot of raw potential there. Those two kind of seem like some likely candidates if you're looking at maybe the 10th spot or if you're going to trade back in the first round and acquire some more assets. So those are some of the options, I think. Those are the main options, in my opinion. Jadeveon Clowney being the best. But those are the options that you have. Finding another edge rusher to pair with Myles Garrett. Let's take a look at this left tackle. This glaring need for the Browns. So, 100% I agree we need a left tackle. I think it's the Browns' most glaring need. But we need to take a deep breath and we need to look at the options we have available. Because I think we have a lot of them. Number one. I don't think this is the most popular, but hear me out on this, okay? Jason Peters is a free agent. We can sign him right now off the street. So Jason Peters is a free agent. He's a 38-year-old vet, 9-time Pro Bowler. He started 13 games last year for the Eagles. His PFF grade last season was at 82.4, which is really good. That's really good. He's still playing at a near elite level as of last year. He would not be the long-term answer, but he could be a really good option for you as a quality starter, a rental, sort of a rental. So 1-2 year deal, it makes a lot of sense. That could definitely happen. Another option, Trent Williams. Trent Williams is another option. He's a 31-year-old, 7-time Pro Bowler. He's played like a Hall of Famer, like a Hall of Fame caliber left tackle his entire career. Last year, he sat out the entire season as a member of the Washington Redskins, all due to issues off the field, like with the medical staff. There was a growth, and the medical staff, he didn't like the way they handled it. There was a lot of stuff going on. He sat out the entire year. It's gotten to the point at this, where he's asked the team if he can ask for a trade. The team has agreed that he can ask for a trade. They are open to trading him, and I think he's definitely an option. We could definitely get him. I've mentioned before, with the draft capital we have, the cap space, we have money. It's a premium position. Let's do it. Okay, these are some options. Like I said, signing either Jason Peters or Trent Williams. So that would mean you would have infinite options with the number 10 overall pick. What is Cleveland doing if they sign one of those guys? You can still pick your starting left tackle of the future. It's a loaded offensive tackle class. If your guy falls to you, or you could trade back, get the tackle and acquire more assets. Okay, so you got a lot of options, and I think signing one of those guys, trading for Trent Williams, doing something like that, especially before the draft, I think it puts you in a really good position. I want to talk about my favorite value in the draft class at offensive tackle. And my favorite value in the draft class is Ezra Cleveland, the aptly named Ezra Cleveland. Cleveland is 6'6", 311 pounds. He's out of Boise State, and he's a very good athlete. He seems like a perfect fit as an athletic pass protector, and perfect for the zone blocking scheme that Kevin Stefanski has brought with him. Perfect fit. You need guys that can pull, that are athletic enough to get in front of people on the move, that can get on the other side of the guy, that can get on the outside, swing around, cut him off. That's what you need, and that's what Ezra Cleveland gives you. There's a lot of other guys, too, that give you that profile in the draft. But I think Ezra Cleveland, in my opinion, that is the guy that I see as the perfect fit for the offense. And I see him as being a guy that you can get at 10. You could even trade back potentially. I like him a lot. The move makes a lot of sense, picking him up. So getting him in the draft. Another guy by the name of Joe Thomas. He had the same athletic profile and physical attributes, and he had an okay career. Ezra even put up 2 more reps on the bench than Joe Thomas did at the Combine. I'm not saying at all that he's going to be the next Joe Thomas, because he's not. Joe Thomas had about as good a professional career as you could possibly have, minus the team losing. But him as an individual, Joe Thomas, he was a Pro Bowler his entire career, never missed any time, first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Arguably the best left tackle of all time. You can have that argument. Ezra Cleveland, he ran a 4.93 40 at 311 pounds, just to let you know. I mean, the guy's an athlete. And more impressively, he ran a 4.46 shuttle time, showing off his agility. To give you a little bit of comparison, so 2 of the top, what most evaluators would say the 2 best wide receivers in the draft class, Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, respectively, they ran a 4.45 and a 4.5. He actually ran a better shuttle time than CeeDee Lamb. So I love the player. I love the fit. It's definitely a good option. I would love to see them, Ezra Cleveland. There's a lot of other good tackle prospects. Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Wills, Mekhi Becton. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of guys that are worth it. Austin Jackson. You go down the list. There's a lot of guys we can get, but Ezra Cleveland, I've got my eye on him. I hope if they go to the draft, I hope that's where they go. In the secondary, there's a slew of playmakers I would love to see the Browns take. But where I want to see this happen, I want to see this happen with the second or third pick, maybe late first round, early second, into the third. That's kind of where I'm looking here now. So there's a lot of playmakers in the secondary. Some of the guys, and this isn't I'm not doing draft profile and all these guys, but you can do your own homework. Maybe I can come out with some videos kind of highlighting what some of these guys bring. But some of the guys playmakers in the secondary that I like, Grant Delpit from LSU. There's tackling issues with him, but I like him. I like his fire. He's 6'3". He's got range. He's a hard hitter. He's from LSU. I really like Grant Delpit. He looked great a couple years ago. Last year, didn't play as great, but hey, they won the national championship, so I don't think he played too bad. Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois, that's another good prospect, big, talented, ran like the wind at the combine. I think he was a 4.45 guy, 6'3", 220, looks like a linebacker, runs like a safety. Not the best in man coverage, but the guy's got a lot of attributes, a lot of raw traits. You can work with that. Antoine Winfield Jr., I don't know about him. I like him. I'm concerned about his durability. 5'9", 5'10", he's kind of a smaller guy. Playing corner, not a big deal like his dad, but if he's playing safety, I do have some legitimate concerns. You got guys like Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, all these monster running backs and everything running downhill in game after game, season after season. If he's tackling these guys, I don't know if he can do it. He might be able to. I don't know. Tyrann Mathieu had a great career. Smaller guys work, okay? Budda Baker. So I think it can work. I think Antoine Winfield Jr. can be a good player, but I have questions, and I think there's other guys available. So value where we pick him, that would all depend. So there's a lot of other guys. Ashton Davis from Cal. A lot of options that kind of fit there in the second, third round, late first round. So looking at the cornerback room, you can always add another corner. We're in a pretty good position. We got Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams. Denzel, the first couple years, has looked great, like a shutdown corner. The problem with him, and we know it, durability. So durability issues with him. Greedy Williams, second year, we saw some good things out of him, but still relatively unproven. Money Mitchell, I like him. I think he's a really good player a good value player for the Browns. Good depth piece there. But I think you can always add another corner, and I would not be mad at all if the Browns got a cornerback somewhat early in the draft. Some of the guys that could be available: Trevon Diggs from Alabama, big physical corner, really good zone defender, I would say. But that might be a good guy you get opposite. Maybe you could move Denzel in the slot, have Trevon Diggs, Greedy Williams playing on the outside. That gives you a pretty formidable trio. And today's NFL, you got three cornerbacks on the field most of the time. Cameron Dantzler, big corner from Mississippi State, and then Christian Fulton from LSU. Those are some guys that I think are going to be available, good value picks for the Browns that are going to be available. So I definitely, if they're the best player available and that's what you got on your board, you take the player. You've done a good job in free agency. You don't have to pick a guy because you need that position filled. The Browns did a pretty good job to set themselves up. Let's cash in. Let's get the best player. The last position that I want to address is adding a veteran linebacker. And I think this is really important. for the Browns to do. So we've got Mack Wilson. Mack Wilson really looked like a stud last year, like I mentioned before. Showed a lot of flashes. He just seems to be around the ball. Ball's tipped in the air. I think he's got the ability to just be there. And not a lot of guys do that. Seems lucky a lot of times when these balls get tipped to him, but it's not luck a lot of times. It's, hey, the guy's an athlete. He's got his head up. He's looking. He's aware. Those are all good things. I like that. Mack Wilson, I like a lot of things I saw from him. He's a good piece. But you still need to bring in a vet. Someone that's played. Somebody that's been through the fire, that's been through the wars. You need that. So, two players that I'm looking at that I think are natural fits. So, Nigel Bradham is one guy, 8-year vet. He's a Super Bowl champ as a starter of the Philadelphia Eagles. 30 years old. He's still got some years left. He's not old by any means, but he got the 30. So, but anyways, he played 11 or more games every season in his career, and he started 96 career games. Like I said, the Super Bowl champ. So he brings a lot of that veteran leadership to your locker room. The other thing, Andrew Berry was with Philly last year. Nigel Bradham with Philly. So makes a lot of sense there. Another guy, Michael Kendricks. You might remember him. We had him for the preseason a couple years ago. Michael Kendricks, 29-year-old, really fast, athletic linebacker. And like his former teammate, Nigel Bradham, he also started on the same Super Bowl championship Philadelphia Eagles team. So Kendricks, he was with the Browns, like I said, a few years ago, but he was cut during the preseason. He played a few preseason games, but he was cut during the preseason after being faced with federal charges for insider trading. But after getting cut by the Browns, Kendrick, he was signed by the Seattle Seahawks. He spent a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 games with the Seahawks 2 years ago, and then last year he was with the Seahawks the entire year. Had a pretty solid year, so the move makes a lot of sense. We definitely need a veteran at linebacker, and those are 2 guys that I think would really be good pickups. So that's all I got for you guys. Those are some of the highlights. Those are 4 things that I think the Browns really need to do this offseason. If they do those things, I think we're really going to be in a good position. Like I said, we've got the quarterback, we've got the cap space, we've got the draft capital, we've got the pass rusher, we've got a lot of things going for us. And I keep hearing that you don't want to be spending all this money because you got Baker Mayfield and you got Myles Garrett and they're going to be coming off their rookie contract. Well, you're right, but for the next 2 years, they're on their rookie contract. That's what the NFL is. That's what it is. And something that I have not mentioned yet, we've got to win the division. And how do you win the division? You stop Lamar Jackson. You stop the league MVP. It starts there. You need that. You need to beat Lamar Jackson. And the other guy, you get past him, there's another guy named Patrick Mahomes. You need to get by him too. And the way you do that is by shoring up that defense. That's how you do it. So those are some of the moves I'd like to see the Browns make. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you have any other thoughts, any players, anything you'd like to add, please comment below. And stay tuned. I'll be back with some more Browns content. Thanks.